Ooh, what's up, nerds and geeks? My name is OMG, WTF, LOL, FTW, BRB. Welcome back to more WWE versus Total Extreme Wrestling 2016, where we take the weekly shows, the weekly events that WWE runs. Fuck off, Chris. Oh, I hate that Facebook pop-up thing. Where we take the weekly events that, WWE runs and all that, and book it in Total Extreme Wrestling the exact same way as much as I possibly can in the game and see just how well WWE does against TEW, or if Total Extreme Wrestling will be the one company that puts WWE to rest for good. We are on Monday Night Raw, this week's Monday Night Raw, so we are officially catching up. This, honestly, I feel is going to be the only show from this week that we are going to be able to get out of the way. But, like I said, expect an update video probably tomorrow because, I got work again today and it's going to be another late night, most likely. So I'd say tomorrow before I leave for my trip, or maybe tonight sometime when I get off of work. Most likely tonight, to be completely honest. But with that being said, we are on the April 23rd edition of Monday Night Raw. We are getting closer and closer to catching up to the WWE to where we can finally just stop rushing into this. But I actually did watch this Monday Night Raw. This is the first Raw that I have booked that I haven't seen, so I actually sat down and I watched the full show to kind of give you guys my thoughts on certain things throughout the show. With that being said, though, I do not think this show is going to do good. The main event was a 10-women tag team match, and the one thing that WWE does better than Total Extreme Wrestling is book the female wrestlers, because TEW and pretty much any women's segment do not get along. They 9 times out of 10, tend to bomb. So we have a 20-minute main event with 10 women involved, and I'd say maybe 4 of them are over, being like Sasha Banks, Bayley, Alexa Bliss, and I guess maybe Mickie James, but that's debatable. So it'll be interesting to see just how this show really does, but I'm not having the same confidence as I actually. What am I talking about? I never have confidence going into any of these shows so far. But let's see how they do. So we open up this. I wasn't sure how exactly I would do this. This doesn't really count. And going here from here on out, a lot of the random hype segments, or pretty much just a lot of the transition segments where nothing's really going on, where they're hyping up a match or a wrestler's making his way towards the ring, before a commercial break. Those are going to be rated as minor segments. There's a thing in Total Extreme Wrestling where you can rate things as major or minor segments. Majors, really, I believe it has. It really affects oh my god, another person? Get away! Jesus. I hate that Facebook thing. I don't know how to turn it off, though. Either way, like I was saying, you have your majors and your minors. Majors, from what I understand, affect the main show as well as the storylines, where minors don't really affect the show as much. And I don't believe it progresses stories at all. Also, we are in the Scotterade Center. That is where WWE was, so I am trying to keep on to that as much as I can. So, like I said, this angle was kind of interesting because I wasn't sure how to do it. For one, I don't believe Bruno Sammartino is dead in this game, so I guess I could have hired him, but it was kind of last minute, and I can't hire him last minute once the show has started. I could have done the game recovery, but that's too much work to remember someone who just passed away. And yes, if you haven't heard, the longest reigning WWE champion, WWE Hall of Famer Bruno Sammartino, did just pass away. I forget how old he was, but he was definitely up there in age. One of the all-time greats. He sold out Madison Square Garden. Pretty much made he's one of the main reasons why the Square Garden is still around to this day, because he made them that money, yeah. So I wasn't exactly sure how to do the remembering angle that took place in the very beginning of the show, but during the angle, they had guys like John Cena, Roman Reigns, Triple H, and I think I spotted Vince McMahon at one point, all pretty much remembering Bruno Sammartino. So I just threw those 4 guys together and had them remember Bruno. So B- segment for remembering Bruno Sammartino. All right, and then we open up with a solid B-rated segment as Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar open up the show, and they can make their way down to the ring. Heyman takes the mic, and he pretty much begins to hype up the steel cage match between Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar for this Friday's, I know, Friday, how strange, this Friday's greatest Royal Rumble ever. The segment itself, if you ask me, did kind of drag out. Heyman just kind of kept going on and on and on, and it kind of just felt like he was saying the same thing over and over again. And then Roman Reigns' part was just, honestly, it was kind of embarrassing. Roman comes out, he doesn't even look like he really wants to be there. He just looks like bored. He looks, I don't know. That's kind of my problem with Roman Reigns, is he's too stone-faced. He always looks like he's just, oh yeah, I'm here. And he's very monotone on the mic, so it doesn't really come off like he's excited either. He's just all, and I guess that's kind of the way you want to book him, because you want him to be a man of few words. But he comes out here and he's just like, I don't know how I'm going to get back. Which I'm like, bro, what do you mean you don't know how you're going to get back? Are you not just going to jump on the same fucking plane that you took here? And then he's like, I don't know how I'm not going to get back, but I will say I'm walking out with that Universal Championship. And you can believe that. So that was something stupid. My apologies for that brief silence there. I had someone come in and need me to open something, so my apologies. Either way, like I said, to me the segment was, it fell flat. It didn't. Paul Heyman kind of just went on and on and on. Roman Reigns, it felt like he just didn't care. And I don't want to. I watch Wrestling with Regret. I will admit that right now, because I don't want any of you guys to try to call me out or something. I watch Wrestling with Regret, and I usually watch his weekly show. What is it called? I think it's called like Wrestling with Regret or something like that, or Who Wore It Better. That's what it's called. Who Wore It Better, where he pretty much compares SmackDown and Raw. So you may hear me repeat a lot of the things, but here's also the thing with me and Brian Zane as well. I actually agree with a lot of the things Brian Zane says, where I don't really agree with too much of like what culture pro wrestling. Me and Brian Zane, I seem to have the same like mindset when it comes to wrestling. So even though there might be certain things where it sounds pretty similar to what he says, these are my honest to God feelings to the segment as well. And I just feel like Roman Reigns, he was lacking the confidence pretty much. He just didn't seem like he really believed that he was going to walk out as Universal Champion. This did get the crowd hot though. Lesnar came across well. Roman Reigns was underwhelming, but it did gain some heat to the storyline between the two. All right. Jumping into the next segment, we get a C+ rated segment here as we hype up the debut of the Sammy and Kevin Show. It's the Sammy and Kevin Show with their first guest tonight, Raw General Manager Kurt Angle, and that'll take place tonight. Oh my God. And if this isn't a sign to things to come, guys, we get our 10-woman tag team match hyped up with an E+ rated segment. As the only two women not featured in here pretty much are Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. And that's because, I figured Ruby Riott can just represent the entire Riott squad. Total Extreme Wrestling only gives me 8 slots, so I can't fill 10 slots there. Nonetheless, we hype up the fact that Bayley, Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, Ember Moon, and Natalya will take on Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and the Riott squad later on tonight. I believe this is the turn for Sasha, which I'm not sure on. And Natalya, to me, still, she is pretty much like a foregone face at this moment. But I am still going to hold off on her because I do have a feeling that maybe it's not, I have a feeling that maybe she will turn on Ronda sooner rather than later. And I also kind of want to hold off on the face turn as well, since, we can kind of take advantage of this moment. We don't have to push her as a face right away, because there is kind of that slight doubt there. Whereas someone with Chad Gable, who we'll see later tonight, he is going to automatically get the face turn because there's really no questioning that, he can turn on someone. Whereas Natty, there's been a lot of history with Natty to where she could, potentially turn on Ronda Rousey. So I'm going to keep teasing her, whereas Chad Gable is going to have to deal with the horrible, disastrous turn that he's going to have later on tonight. D-plus rated segment as we see Elias making his way to the ring for his match against Bobby Roode? Bobby Roode? Wait. So you mean to tell me these past 2 weeks of, Bobby Lashley interrupting Elias during his entrance, Elias pretty much saying, Bobby Lashley does that again in a promo that he's going to put him in his place, and they pick the wrong Bobby? Bobby Roode's his opponent? It just seemed off to me. This is our first also proof that the minor angles don't affect storylines, because I did go ahead and add Bobby Roode to the Bobby Lashley storyline, because now I'm not exactly sure where they're going with Elias. So that just goes to show you that the minor segments do not affect storylines at all, which, good. All right. And then before we can jump into said matchup, Elias is ready to perform in front of the live crowd. He's got the spotlight on, but before he can even strum his guitar, Bobby Roode's glorious music hits, and he makes his entrance. There you have it. A solid D-rated segment for that. As we jump in... Oh, look, apparently because this one does kind of have a little bit of a feud since Bobby Roode interrupted Elias, so... There you see it. Elias versus Bobby Who, because I don't know which one it is. So we jump... Oh, no. Before we can jump into the match, we also had a little bit of a hype during the match. So I played it before. For the greatest Royal Rumble matchup between The Undertaker and Rusev in a casket match. Yes. And then we jump into said matchup between Elias and Bobby Roode's, which does a C- rated segment. We have a decent wrestling, but not much weight in heat. Elias goes over Bobby Roode in 8 minutes, 17 seconds. It says by using the ropes for leverage, but that's because I had to do a taint and finish. What really happened was Elias pulled Bobby in face first into the ropes, which then led to the win. Very unique way to get the victory there. Elias with a D+ in-ring performance. Bobby Roode with a solid C. Roode is improving in performance, and Elias is improving in technical and performance, so good on them. But yeah, we'll see if this really goes anywhere, and if this is where we're going with Bobby Roode and Elias. I did feel it was a little weird that they had Roode lose his first match on TV. Or not really his first match on TV, but his first one-on-one match on Monday Night Raw, I should say. But it was tainted, so there could be, a potential storyline that they're building to, but it was just a little weird how Roode was the one chosen to be the sacrificial lamb, especially since Bobby Lashley and Elias have their heat, but maybe they just didn't want Elias to lose, and they didn't want Bobby Lashley to lose. I have no idea. I just thought it was weird. We then go to a C- rated angle. This honestly should have been a solid B, because this was the first segment that this is the first segment that I feel really captured the Woken Matt Hardy gimmick alongside, Bray Wyatt's new Woken gimmick along with him. That one part where Bray enters the scene and it gets super dark and all that was a great transition. And this was a really great angle between the both of them as they cut up a promo on their upcoming tag team title match against Cesaro and Sheamus, the Bar, at the Greatest Royal Rumble. C- rating there. Deserved better. We then jump into a tag team match as we get a C- rating once again. Subpar wrestling and little heat to it as the Leaders of Worlds, the new team of Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, go over the Ascension in 4 minutes, 30 seconds when Bray Wyatt defeats Victor with the sister Abigail. The Ascension, at least my buddy feels like the Ascension were kind of teasing a heel turn. I thought I went ahead and, put the turn on them as well, but I guess maybe not, or maybe it's just not highlighted. But the Ascension is someone that may or may not be turning heel. The match itself was kind of just, a jobber match. Nothing too special, but I think they debuted a new finisher, although I think they also did this new finisher last week or some other time where Bray pretty much lifts up the guy and Matt hits a lifted twist of fate on him while Bray just tosses him down. I still think it'd be a better idea if you do like kind of a Sister Abigail combination where Bray's like bending him back and Matt also goes for a twist of fate, because really Matt, all he's doing is rotating himself. He's not ever really moving the people. The only thing that sucks with that is Bray kind of pulls them down, so I can see where it's complicated there. Nonetheless, Victor with an in-ring performance of a D- alongside Connor. Bray Wyatt with a solid C, so the best of the match, and Matt Hardy not too far behind with that C-. Connor is improving in technical and performance, and Victor is improving in Rumble. Good on you guys. All right, C+ rated segment as we get yet another hype for the Kevin and Sammy, not the Kevin Owens and Sammy show. Even though that should be the other way around, it should be the Sammy and Kevin show. My bad. But pretty much hyping up their show with Kurt Angle later on tonight. C+. All right. Then we jump to the B- because that was apparently next. My bad. I guess I don't know how to read. We jump into the Sammy and Kevin show, who they make their way down to the ring to Sami Zayn's music, by the way, which usually it's Kevin Owens' music, so that was just something I noticed. The setup was pretty generic, nothing too special. They just had two pictures set up in the ring, one with the logo and two other ones of them beating up Shane McMahon, which I'm wondering if the only reason they had that there was because, Kurt Angle is the general manager here and that's like sending a message to him, or if that's going to be like a more permanent fixture. Either way, they bring out Kurt Angle. A lot of funny things said here where, they sing a song for Kurt to come out and they do the whole "you suck" thing. There's this really funny segment. A lot of people have mentioned it where, they talk about Kurt having 5 kids, and then Kevin's like, no, it's 6, and Sammy's like, no, it's 5, and they go back and forth, and then Sammy's like, oh, here's the problem, I forgot about Jason Jordan, and then Kevin Owens is like, oh, don't worry, Kurt did too. Like, there's a lot of funny moments here. They had me laughing, and Kurt, to me, for some reason, it's weird. Like in TNA, Kurt just felt so natural. Like I don't know what it is in WWE, but here he just seems like he's so out of his element. Like everything he says, it feels scripted. Like where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, it doesn't feel scripted. Like, yeah, that could be a scripted segment, but at the same time, it feels genuine. Whereas Kurt, it feels like everything he says is just read off a line, and I don't get that, because in TNA he felt real. So maybe that's just Kurt's not good at just reading off a script, and he's better off going off the top of his head. But I don't know. Maybe TNA scripted him too. I just thought that was interesting. Kurt, of course, after being treated so kindly, as he says here on the the Sammy and Kevin show, he goes ahead and books the two men in a tag team match later on tonight against the team of Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman. There was also one part of this, segment, because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are hyping up that they're going to win the Greatest Royal Rumble. Kurt announced, pretty much puts over the fact that I'm going to be in that Greatest Royal Rumble match too, along with some of your enemies that you've made over the year, like Daniel Bryan and Chris Jericho. But there was no mention of Shane McMahon, who is also going to be in this Battle Royal, or this Royal Rumble. So to me, that was just kind of a missed opportunity. You name drop Daniel Bryan and you name drop Chris Jericho, but you didn't name drop the one guy that they've been feuding with for like the past couple of months. Like, yeah, they were kind of feuding with Daniel Bryan, but Shane McMahon was the main feud. Bryan wasn't added until like a few weeks before WrestleMania, pretty much. So I just thought that was kind of a missed opportunity, especially with Shane McMahon's picture being, all those pictures being shown of them beating up Shane. So missed opportunity, but we get a little bit of hype for the Greatest Royal Rumble, revealing some of our participants and our hype for the main event tonight. This did get the crowd hotter, and there you go. We move on to a C- rated segment as Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, still being called the Miztourage for some reason, which that doesn't make sense to me. I refuse to call them that. They turned their back on the Miz 1 week ago, and we're still calling them the Miztourage, and Corey Graves acts like nothing happened. No, I don't buy it. Either way, Dallas and Axel approach Seth Rollins and pretty much say now's their chance to burn it down and offer Seth his services pretty much, and tell him like, we could be the new Shield, but Seth Rollins gives them a hard no. So there you have that. Looks like Bo and Curtis are going to be looking for a replacement from The Miz, despite turning their back on The Miz. That's neither here nor there. C+ rated segment as we get some hype up for the 50-man Royal Rumble. Now, of course, I can't feature all 50-man in here, especially not when I don't know who all 50 men are. But they did have a little screen on there, so I just chose, in my opinion, the most popular of the people on that screen of the advertisement. So we chose Daniel Bryan, Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, which, by the way, is under a pay-per-appearance deal. Because even though he's not written, I figure, get him under just in case, which we knew he was going to be at the Rumble, so yeah. I also have Rey Mysterio because I believe he's coming in as well, and there's a couple other people I should probably pick up here and there, but I'll have to wait until the Royal Rumble thing actually happens before I can actually pick them up. The only downside is they might not show up before Friday, but we'll see. Either way, Braun Strowman, Big E, Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods, The New Day, and Dolph Ziggler all pretty much hyped up for the 50-man Royal Rumble. And then we get more hype for a couple of matches that'll be taking place at the Greatest Royal Rumble. Of course, we already know about Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns in a steel cage for the Universal title. But what about John Cena versus Triple H, who haven't faced each other in over 8 years? Both those matches hyped for this Friday. B-. Oh my good God. And just because WWE's like, hey, don't get too comfortable, don't get too excited because we still got that 10-woman tag team match coming up that's pretty much going to bomb our show at the end of this night, even though the actual match itself was decent. It really just felt like a serve away for the Ronda Rousey thing, though, if you ask me. Either way, hyping up the women's tag match, featuring, all 5 women from the face side, while only featuring Bliss, Mickie James, and Ruby Riott on the heel side because I can't, feature 10 people. No. Solid D rated segment next as we get some hype stating the fact that Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler are next. And then we get a little bit of a recap, another solid D from last week as Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler beat down on Titus Worldwide. As you can see, Apollo Crews made it for this segment. And I've got something interesting to tell you for this next matchup. So before we can get to the matchup, though, we get our first entrance between Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. Drew's theme is epic. He's a star. I'm telling you right now, Drew McIntyre's a star. He's gonna be a world champion. Mark my words. If he isn't, WWE, what are you doing? D+ rating for the Dolph Ziggler Drew McIntyre entrance, and then we jump into the tag team matchup between Titus Worldwide and Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. So we have about that had subpar wrestling to it and little heat. Interesting. Little heat. Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre go over Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews in 4 minutes, 5 seconds when McIntyre defeats Apollo Crews with not the Future Shock DDT, despite it saying that with the Claymore zigzag combination pretty much. Some of you may be asking, wait a second, OMG, wasn't Apollo Crews injured? And didn't you couldn't save it in time and he was out for, another 10 days? Why, random fan asking that question? You're right. Apollo Crews is injured, and he isn't supposed to be here. How is Apollo Crews here? Well, let me let you guys in on a little secret. That's not Apollo Crews. That's just Cedric Alexander dressed to look like Apollo Crews. Oh my God. So yes, Apollo Crews was injured on that very first episode of Monday Night Raw that we booked. I didn't think it was going to be something serious, but it turns out it was, keeping him out of action from last week's Raw and this week's Raw, apparently. It kind of sucks, but what can you do? So I just had Cedric Alexander fill the role because I feel like him and Apollo, while they don't really look alike, they have kind of like a same moveset and probably are like the same popularity. So there you go. That was my workaround on that segment. Despite Titus O'Neil debuting his sports agent gimmick last week, it debuted here and it didn't even let me do it, which that's a bit weird, but it got a below average this time, so it did better, but not by a whole lot. Apollo Crews, a.k.a. Cedric Alexander, with a D-. Titus O'Neil with a solid D. And Drew and Dolph both with C- rated segments. Dolph is improving in Rumble and performance, and Cedric Cruz is improving in Rumble and technical. All right. We then have Charlie Caruso, who's not rated, get in the ring with Dolph and Drew and ask Dolph himself, why did he come over with Drew? And Dolph puts over the fact because Drew McIntyre is dangerous. I mean, look at this guy. And then Drew grabs the mic and he cuts a great promo, pretty much saying how everybody in the WWE is lazy, just collecting checks, and he's here to show everybody what a real superstar looks like, pretty much. Great promo from Drew McIntyre. Ziggler, I mean, I like his new persona. He's showing that personality besides, just being, oh, look at me, I'll steal the show like I always do. Like, now he seems like he's excited, so that's something that's good. That comes across, but Drew really stole the show here. What do we have changes-wise? Oh, here you go, Charlie Caruso. Oh, look, she got a very good rating on her staff member gimmick. Good job. All right. Oh, I hate that. Come on. There we go. We then jump to a C- rated segment here as Kurt Angle is backstage after watching the Drew McIntyre-Dolph Ziggler matchup. And in comes Chad Gable, who thanks Kurt Angle for the opportunity. He asks how Jason Jordan is. Kurt tells him that Jason's fine. But, he says to him, I didn't bring you over here to tag with Jason Jordan. I came over here for you to be in singles competition. Or brought you over here, I should say. And Gable, he's super ecstatic to hear Kurt say that. He can't be more excited, but unfortunately, he is interrupted by the modern-day Maharaja and former United States champion and WWE champion, Jinder Mahal. Jinder, of course, he's very upset with Kurt for putting him in that match last week against Jeff Hardy. He promises that he will beat Jeff Hardy this Friday at the Greatest Royal Rumble ever, and then he also requests to be traded back over to SmackDown. Kurt denies it. And Jinder Mahal gets mad. He says, well, what would you feel if I talked to Stephanie about this? Which then leads to Chad Gable pushing him. Chad Gable's so great, guys. He pushes Jinder Mahal and tells him he needs to learn more respect, pretty much. And Jinder Mahal cuts a pretty funny promo, pretty much referencing that Chad Gable is Nicholas, the 10-year-old kid that just won the tag titles from Braun Strowman at WrestleMania. References that it's Nicholas all grown up, pretty much. So it is a funny segment. Honestly, a really great segment. Chad Gable really shined here, if you ask me. He always has shined. He's very underrated. He's great in the ring. He's got a great personality. Chad Gable is someone that they can push. I don't see him ever being a world champion, honestly, for his size, even though he could shock me. We've seen guys like Rey Mysterio become world champion, so it's not impossible. But he's got an uphill battle. He would do wonders in 205 Live. Like, he would be like one of the main guys there. But since he's on Raw, he's probably going to be in the mid-card division. Phew, excuse me. And I think we will see him get an Intercontinental Championship match, maybe even become the Intercontinental Champion at some point. Also, I do feel maybe we will get an American Alpha reunion down the line at some point. But either way, great segment for Chad Gable. I am going to wait until the actual match for, you know what, what's the point? It's going to get a disastrous rating either way. So let's go ahead and complete the turn. It's going to be a complete disaster because there's been too many shock turns. But what can you do when WWE just keeps doing it to you? This wasn't my fault. This was their fault. They went ahead and do this. Again, it's not fair because some of the people I had to turn automatically, which kind of dings me off the start, but they're the ones that wanted to make Chad Gable a face right off the bat. So there you have it. Chad Gable now a face. We'll just have to pay him off. But before we can jump into the match, we have our pointless commercial break to fill out 20 minutes because, once again, I'm left with 20 minutes to spare. So John Cena and the Make-A-Wish Foundation for 20 minutes, everybody. Solid D-rated segment here as Sunil Singh comes out and introduces everybody to the modern-day Maharaja Jinder Mahal. D-plus rated segment as we get a hyped-up moment for the Jeff Hardy versus Jinder Mahal match over the United States title at the Greatest Royal Rumble. And then we jump in to the matchup between Chad Gable and Jinder Mahal, which gets a solid D-rated segment, of course, Sunil Singh doing some good work ringside. Chad Gable was really off his game, unfortunately. But the commentary team did give this match a little bit of a boost, it appeared. It did cool the crowd. Jinder Mahal with a D+ rated in-ring performance. Chad Gable with a D-. So most of this match, honestly, was Jinder in control. He really dominated Chad throughout the bout, with Chad getting little to no offense whatsoever. But when Jinder Mahal went to go hit the Colossus on Gable, Chad was able to kick his way off the rope and get the sudden surprise pin over Jinder Mahal. So upset victory for Chad Gable. Makes me wonder if there's going to be a feud between these two gentlemen after this. But we'll see. Either way, good job, Chad. Glad to see Chad getting some recognition. Like I said, I'm a huge Chad Gable fan. So despite him not doing good in this segment, I'm happy to see it happening. And I'll be interested to see where he goes from here on out. Jinder Mahal improving in technical, and Chad is improving in performance. Good stuff. D- rated segment as Renee Young interviews the Riot Squad. Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan, who pretty much put themselves over on Monday Night Raw and say that tonight they are going to... Well, first Renee Young questions if that, Bayley, attack on Bayley and Sasha was a message, and they pretty much confirmed that, yeah, it was a message, and tonight we're going to send that same message by beating up everybody else. And if Alexa Bliss and Mickie James want to get in our way, then they'll just get the same treatment pretty much. So there you have that. We have a change, which I'm not exactly sure what this is. Oh, it's just Sasha. No, we're not changing Sasha yet. But D- rating for the Riot Squad angle. We get a solid C rating here as the Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe match for Backlash is hyped. So solid C rated for that. And then we jump into a recap of the interaction between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns from earlier in the night, with Paul Heyman putting over the match, Roman Reigns saying that he's going to win, yada, yada, yada. That does a B- as well. And then we get another segment. Really? There was two of these? Wow, WWE. They did these things twice, but they did the Samoa Joe and Roman Reigns first, and now we have Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns at the Greatest Royal Rumble hyped, and then Reigns versus Joe at Backlash hyped. So Roman Reigns getting that hype. C+ rated segment, though, from Samoa Joe here, as he cuts a brief little promo off screen, of course, on like his cell phone or something. It was like a selfie promo, pretty much putting over that, he is going to go ahead and beat Roman Reigns, hopefully for the Universal Championship at Backlash. C+ rated segment for Samoa Joe. And then we get more hype for the Greatest Royal Rumble as the casket match between Undertaker and Rusev is hyped. The WWE Championship rematch between AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura is hyped. And the ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship between Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and The Miz. All hyped up for the Greatest Royal Rumble ever. What is this? Oh, that's just Rusev. Solid C rating. We then jump to a D+ rated segment here, as similar to earlier with Seth Rollins. This time, though, with Finn Balor, Bo Dallas, and Kurt Axel proposed the idea of the Baxel Club to Finn Balor. What a great name, the Baxel Club. Finn Balor just tells him no, but no thanks, and he even makes them put down the too sweet, saying, that looks better. Whatever. D+ rated segment, nothing special here at all. Pretty much just building up to the tag team match that'll happen later on in the night. But before we can jump to that tag team match, we have yet another tag team match coming up. A lot of tag team matches on this show. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens start making their way towards the ring for their upcoming tag team match against Braun Strowman and Bobby Lashley. C+ rating. We then jump into that tag team matchup, which gets a B- rating. This might be our best match we've had so far in this WWE playthrough. So B- rating here as Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens take on the team of Bobby Lashley. The very dominating and scary team of Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman. We have a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. My cat just has to scratch his ear now. That way his bell just goes off. Great reaction, or decent reaction from the crowd. Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman go over Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in 11 minutes, 46 seconds after Braun Strowman defeats Sami Zayn with the reverse chokeslam. Is that what happened? trying to remember them. No, I think he just beat Sammy with the running power slam. He had Bobby Lashley hit whatever it is Bobby Lashley hits, and then Braun Strowman came in and he did the exact same thing. I think Bobby hit a spear or something, but like I said, I don't remember. Really, the matchup here was Bobby Lashley kind of taking a lot of the heat while Braun Strowman gets the hot tag and just decimates. I mean, decimates. Like, runs over Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn numerous amounts of time before finally putting Sami Zayn away. So, it's kind of interesting to see that Bobby Lashley was just kind of, he was the feeding guy. Like, he's the one that's supposed to be made to sell. You would think that they would be pushing Lashley as, like, a dominating force. But it's still early on, so, we'll see where it goes. But either way, B- rated segment. Apparently, Lashley was the weak link, struggling to keep up with everyone else's in-ring performances. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have excellent chemistry teaming with each other. This got the crowd hot. Sami Zayn with an in-ring performance of a solid A. Sami, calm your ass down. Kevin Owens with a B+. Braun Strowman with a solid B. And Bobby Lashley with a D+. Ooh, Bobby, what the hell? That's horrible. All right. We then go to a D-. Hey, it's not an E. Who knows? D- rated segment, once again hyping up the 10-woman tag team matchup that'll take place tonight. And boy, what a match it's going to be. All right, D+ rated segment as we get yet another hype segment, hyping up the matchup between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, confirming, I should say, the matchup between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor taking on Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, not the Miztourage. They don't get to be called the Miztourage when you turn your back on the guy a week ago. Chris, get out of here. That's twice in the same video you've appeared. And I know you watched this. Make an appearance. All right. Wow. This did pretty good. We did rate Baron Corbin on Menace, so, I mean, it's good to know that he's actually pretty good. He's a pretty good menacing guy, I guess. B- rated segment hyping up that Baron Corbin is in action next. Or is he? No, he's not. Solid D rated segment here as he's in action against No Way Jose. No Way Jose makes his way down to the ring with his conga line. And then Baron Corbin comes out with a mic in hand and says that he's not stupid. And he refuses to fight No Way Jose while he has the conga line present because he's worried that the conga line will get involved in the said matchup. So, he also puts over the fact that No Way Jose is not really on his level. He leaves. No Way Jose pretty much says that, Baron Corbin's not going to ruin their fun. He tells them to play his music, and him and the conga line make their way up the entryway and out. Well, the conga line at least leaves. No Way Jose sticks around, which proves to be his mistake because Baron Corbin then comes out and beats down on No Way Jose before hitting him with a choke slam into a backbreaker. So there you have it. I did go ahead and create a feud here because in a way it looks like that's what they're teasing. I could see this just being a random throwaway segment, but with No Way Jose being like a new star, maybe that's what they're doing. Although probably not the best idea to, put No Way Jose against Baron Corbin when he's not going to win, but I guess the exposure is what they're hoping will put him over. I don't have a lot of faith for No Way Jose, to be honest. It's not looking good for him right now, but who knows? Maybe he can get, he needs one of those performances like Velveteen Dream had with Aleister Black or something, is what I feel. Because no one really was buying into the Velveteen Dream until he had his match against Aleister Black. And that's what No Way Jose needs, is one of those standout matches that gets people to notice him, and not his dancing gimmick, which I'm not opposed to, but it's definitely hearing crickets right now. And this did cool the crowd a little here as well, which is a shame, but that's okay. As we jump into a solid D-rated segment here, as Alexa Bliss, who I wasn't sure if I should have had her on screen or off screen, because technically I guess she should be off screen because she's not in front of the live audience, but I went ahead and just decided to keep her on screen for this. Don't know why I did. I honestly probably should have kept her off screen. Either way, though, she delivers a moment of bliss segment here as she has a message on bullies. She puts over this moment where, her and her former best friend Nia Jax were walking one day and she saw a homeless person, so she gave her burrito bowl or whatever the hell it was. But then Nia Jax just took it and scarfed it down right in front of the homeless person or whatever. And Bliss has to live with that because she just stood there and watched. So it was a good little segment there. Nothing, I like how they're trying to have, Bliss, say that Nia is the one who's the bully. It's kind of interesting. Alexa Bliss is a great actress. She just puts over any segment she is in. But it wasn't anything too special, though. Like, it was decent. I'd like to see more of them, but if it's just a one-off thing, then kind of forgettable. Solid D rated segment, though. But here's something, again, like I mentioned earlier, Brian Zane, Wrestling with Brett, all that. He mentioned this in his video, and I 100% agree. If they would have had this been like more than one segment throughout the night of Alexa Bliss putting over, Nia Jax as this bully, then I feel like it would have been a lot more entertaining, actually. But with just the one-off segment, still not bad. All right, solid C rating. This actually does pretty good. Solid C rated segment here, pretty average, but with Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas, I was expecting like maybe a D+, but or maybe even a C-, but Balor and Rollins were able to bring it up. Subpar wrestling and little heat to it. The team of Finn Balor and Seth Rollins go over the formerly known as the Miz Taraj, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel, who still came out to the Miz's music, by the way, too. No. When Finn Balor goes over Curtis Axel with the coup de grace, Seth Rollins with a C+ alongside Finn Balor, and both Axel and Bo Dallas with D-. This lost some heat for the Intercontinental Championship feud as well. But Finn Balor is improving in performance skills, so there you have that. We then lead to a D- rated segment as Natalya pretty much psychs up her partners later on tonight. It was an interesting dynamic in this promo because she'd be all like, "We're not going to take that, are we, Ember Moon?" And then Ember would, oh my god. Ember cut one of the most cringy, derpiest promos I've ever... I never really noticed this, honestly, and I'm kind of a big critique or critical thinker when it comes to Ember Moon because, for one, her gimmick is just one of the most confusing, non-existent things ever. And two, she puts a lot of emphasis on her words and her promos. Like, she does this very derpy looking face all the time, which is what someone pointed out to me. And I'm like, now that she pointed out, I totally see it. I never really had a word to put to it because I've always noticed it myself. But now that he said it, I'm like, yeah, that's actually perfect. But she's sitting here like, well, tonight we're going to do this and we're going to do that. This is... Okay, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here. My apologies. I watched a video a couple of days ago. And this guy was pretty much saying, oh, for all those people, critiquing Ember Moon's not ready for the main roster. I mean, guys, you got to think of it like this. If your boss came to you and wanted to promote you, you're not going to decline it. But to me, he's missing the point entirely. We're not No, of course we don't expect Ember Moon to say, oh, don't call me up yet. That's idiotic. It's retarded, pretty much. Excuse me. Chris, get out of here! Jesus, 3 times in one video. He really wants to make an appearance. But it's just like, no, it's not the thinking. No, of course, Ember Moon shouldn't decline an opportunity. That would be the stupidest thing you've ever done in your career, because you're most likely going to piss off your boss like, wow, fuck you then. But we're not saying that she should have declined it. What we're saying, or at least what I'm saying, is that WWE should have been smart enough to look at their talent and go, hey, you need more development. You need to work more on your mic skills and all that. And I'm not saying Ember Moon doesn't deserve to call up, because to me, she did deserve to call up. I would have called her up. What else can you do with her on NXT? And she's pretty much done everything she can, even though she can learn to develop her mic skills and all that. Sometimes that's something that you learn a little bit more on the main roster when you're given more opportunities, because if you look at it, NXT doesn't provide all the opportunities in the world for getting better on your microphone skills and all that. I'm sure the developmental center or whatever the performance center does, but NXT is more focused on the wrestling and really less on the mic and skills and all that stuff. So I'm not saying she should have been called up. My point being here is that WWE, to me, doesn't... They just call people up to call people up. Like, oh, we've done what we can with you on NXT. You've had your one reign as champion. Time for you to come up, pretty much. And it's so predictable nowadays, for one. But two, some people just aren't ready to come up yet, even if they are former champions. I mean, Imagine if they would have called up Buddy Murphy, and Wesley Blake after they lost the tag team titles. They would not have gotten over, and they knew they wouldn't have gotten over. There's a reason why they waited to call up someone like Buddy Murphy for so long, and he's on the 205 roster, so that's because even NXT didn't know what to do with him because they couldn't get him over. So they put him on 205 in hopes that, hey, no one really watches this. This is our way of trying to get you over with, limited people here that are around the same popularity as you. But then you have guys like Apollo Crews that they bring up, or I literally just had somebody in my head. I just can't remember who it is. But Apollo Crews to me has always been the perfect example, because that was a guy that was not ready to be brought up at all, and they did anyway, so. Went on a little bit of a tangent there about, Ember Moon and calling up, but like I said, that guy kind of irritated me when he was like, of course she shouldn't decline it. And it's like, well, no shit, she shouldn't decline the opportunity. WWE should just be smarter and pay more attention to their talent and call them up when they view it's the perfect opportunity. Like, not just to say, hey, you lost the NXT Women's Championship, or you lost the NXT Championship, or the NXT Tag Titles. Now it's your turn to get called up. Like, no, it's stupid to me. Nia Jax also gets a little bit of time. She says, hey, how about I put into effect as of right now, anyone who talks bad on Nia Jax is going to get beat, which, okay, whatever. That's fine. Decent promo, but for the women's champion, it feels weird that she didn't get, like, the main spotlight or more to say. Sasha Banks and Bayley didn't say a damn thing, though. Natalya and them all, they get out of there. They're cutting their promo because they're ready for their match, and then Sasha and Bayley just kind of look at each other, and Bayley just kind of gives her the cold shoulder, like, all right, whatever. So there you have that. We only had them talk about the Riot Squad because I really didn't hear them mention Alexa Bliss or Mickie James, so figured give them Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan a little bit of hype, or highlights, I guess, as well. I'm assuming this is just Natalya. Yeah, I'm still going to hold off on that one. Alright, and then we get our 10-woman tag team match, which will be next. That's hyped. D- rated for that, so it is getting better, but oh boy, let's see how it actually does, shall we? Did we do something? I have no idea what just happened there. I thought, like, oh, okay, maybe it's going to say not responding, but oh, it's this stupid PC thing. Ah! All these fucking pop-ups, guys. Oh, they piss me off so much. Too many pop-ups in this fucking episode, from all the stupid Facebook notifications to all the PC reminders. Hey, you need to do this. I'll do it when I have money and to spare. Fuck off. I was going to say, I know I clicked next. Alright. Main event of the night gets a solid D-rated segment. Honestly, that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Now, granted, it's not a good main event. It's still not going to help our overall score, and we are definitely going to lose popularity again. But I thought this was going to bomb. I was thinking we were going to have like an E something rating or something. I mean, figuring that we have people like Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan all in this match, Ember Moon, people who aren't really over, Nia Jax. Like, I thought this was going to bomb, but nope, the women went out there and they did their thing pretty much. So there you have it. Although it was a terrible match, the heel team of Alexa Bliss, Mickie James, and the Riot Squad end up winning over the face team of Nia Jax, Natalya, Ember Moon, Sasha Banks, and Bayley in 18 minutes, 23 seconds. Why was Ember Moon disqualified? It should have been... I guess it doesn't matter who was disqualified, because, I mean, it was just a DQ victory. But I guess I should have made it Natalya, since she was like the main focal point. But either way, it does lead to a DQ victory, because during the match, at one point, Natalya locks in a sharpshooter, and Sarah Logan comes in and hits a forearm block to the back of her leg, which makes it seem like she's injured. And she's pretty much out for the rest of the match. While they try to continue it going, Mickie James is healing it up as she pretty much kicks Natalya while she's down twice, which then leads to Ronda Rousey coming out to protect her friend. And she comes out, she checks on Mickie James, and then she checks on Natalya, and then Mickie James hits a baseball slide on Ronda Rousey from behind, which pisses off the former UFC champion, who then gets in the ring, And I probably wouldn't have noticed this if I didn't watch that Wrestling with Regret episode we talked about earlier. But she locks in an armbar on Mickie James, and I will say something. Now, Brian Zane put over the fact that, maybe Mickie James hurt her arm because, they didn't really highlight it on camera. Whereas you saw Natalya selling her leg, they didn't show Mickie selling her arm because, well, she could have been legitimately injured. Now, that's not what I'm saying. I mean, it could have happened. They didn't sell Mickey's arm, but to me, I feel like the focus was on Ronda Rousey and Natalya pretty much in their friendship, because I honestly feel like it is going to lead to a betrayal, even though as obvious as it is. Or, I mean, not as obvious, I guess, but it's lame as it kind of is, because that's how it always leads to Natalya. She just betrays everyone, it seems like. But I will say, when Ronda Rousey locked it in on Mickie James, it did look like it hurt. Like, it looked like she really forced it in there. And Mickie tapped rather quickly, so who knows? Maybe something happened. I don't know. All I know is it looked like it didn't work out. And from what I understand, Ronda Rousey is apparently going to be working Mickie James. So I don't know if I want to, or if I should, create a story for Ronda Rousey and Mickie James, if that's like where they're going to be going with this, or if I should keep the Stephanie McMahon story. I mean, the Stephanie story is most likely done for now, so I could probably end that, but I don't know. A part of me feels like I should wait till next week on Raw to see if they continue with Ronda Rousey and Mickie James. But hearing the news that Ronda and Mickie are going to be touring partners pretty much, meaning that Mickie's going to be working Ronda and vice versa. So, I don't know. I'm kind of confused and torn there. But yeah, we have about a 20-minute match, 18 minutes here. Granted, I did add on about 5 minutes myself, do about 2 minutes for entrances, and then about 2 minutes for a commercial break. Whenever there's a commercial break, I tend to add like 2 minutes on. Now, you might be wondering, that's 4 minutes, dude, not 5. Well, the game automatically starts off with a minute, so when I add 2 minutes, it goes to 3 and then to 5. So that's why it was at 5 minutes. And so it was about, like, I think a 13-minute match or something like that. Yeah. Not all for disqualification. Gotta love when that happens. Apparently, Alexa Bliss was really off her game. Commentary helped. Sasha Banks foreshadowing her heel turn. Oh boy, here we go. Sarah Logan and Ruby Riott, both with E+. Chris, get out of here! Fucking A, dude. Both with E+ rated segments. Liv Morgan with a solid E, so that might be the worst of the match. That's what it's looking like so far, but we have a couple other people. Mickie James and Alexa Bliss, both with D- in-ring performances. Bayley with a D+, so far that's the best. But Sasha Banks beats her right out the back with a solid C in-ring performance, which I don't even think Sasha got in the ring now that I think about it. She might have. Ember Moon with a D- in-ring performance. Natalya with a solid D. And Nia Jax with an E+. So there you have it. The most impressive was Sasha Banks with her C-. The worst was Liv Morgan with her E. And there you have that. Natalya's improving in Rumble and Technical. Mickie James is improving in performance. Ruby Riott is improving in Rumble and performance. Sarah Logan improving in Technical and performance. And Liv Morgan's improving in Technical and flying. So a lot of improvements, but oh boy. Oh boy. It'll be interesting to see how this Monday Night Raw does. All right. That's not too bad. That's a lot better than I thought it was. It's the best Monday Night Raw we've done so far. Solid C rating. There you go, WWE. You're getting better. I mean, of course, Total Extreme Wrestling is starting to pick up on some of these people they're pushing as well, so you can see, them gaining some popularity and whatnot, which is, of course, what should happen. Unfortunately, the storyline issue is our major concern. We still don't have enough interesting storylines going on, so WWE really needs to pick that up because they're going to keep getting dinged for that if their storylines don't have enough heat. And it still does lose us popularity in 23 regions. So, although our best Raw, still not good enough to gain popularity. That'll be the day when we actually gain some pop. It'll probably happen at the Greatest Royal Rumble since all those stars are going to be there. But you know what? Honestly, I've heard some people, and in fact, I think one of my commenters, Dylan the Villain, big shout out to him, commented saying that he thought this Raw was pretty boring and bland. And while this Raw wasn't really anything special, wasn't the worst Raw in the world. It was average. I agree. It was bland. There was nothing really too crazy to write home about, but it's kind of like, I think Corey Graves or someone said it. It's like the reset button to now that the superstar shakeup is over, and that'll be interesting to SmackDown. Like I do think SmackDown is doing a better job because, well, I mean, like I said, I feel like they won the draft. They got more star quality, whereas Raw got more quantity. So there you have that. Although, like I said, I am excited for some people on Monday Night Raw. I'm excited to see where Chad Gable goes. I'm a big fan of his. I like the Woken Warrior stuff they're doing. Honestly, though, that's probably about it. There's really nothing else right now. Oh, and Braun Strowman, of course. I love Braun Strowman. And that Sammy and Kevin Owens show was brilliant. That was gold. I loved it. But other than that, though, there really wasn't a whole lot on Raw that I enjoyed myself. So I guess I can say I would agree. It was, kind of a bland and just their kind of show. But there's things that I prefer that I'm seeing that I like. So it'll be I'm curious to see where some of these guys go, like Drew and Dolph, like Chad Gable, like the Woken Warriors, and so on and so forth. So there you have that. USA Network still not happy. Like I said, I'm not sure if there is a way to fix this. I know I can go to the actual network and bring down their requirements, which I might have to do, but we'll see. I kind of don't want to do that, but if it gets to the point where I have to get rid of the contract, then I might have to. Dolph Ziggler, this is the second time in a week, or 2 weeks in a row, I should say, that Curtis Axel's gotten something negative said about him. Dolph Ziggler says Curtis Axel can't sell anything worth a damn, in my opinion. He needs to learn how to work. Well, that sucks for Curtis Axel. Getting put under. And we got Rey Mysterio, so that's good. So Rey Mysterio, paid per appearance as well, just like Chris Jericho. He now joins the roster. We have a couple morale issues. Kane probably mad that he didn't get booked. And Chad Gable mad that his gimmick probably didn't go over. Oh, Rey Mysterio is apparently a main eventer. Good for him. But I'll fix that off screen as always. Our momentum's going up, so there's that. We can check our storylines real quick. All the 205 storylines with E's, except for the Lucha House Party. Somehow that's got an E+. All the Raw storylines are around D's to C's. And SmackDown's probably the same. Yeah, D's to C's. So nothing really special going on here as of right now. I am curious to see if Rey Mysterio ranks on our creative meeting like Jericho does. Oh, he put Jericho out. Chris Jericho used to be there. Used to be Cena, Styles, Nakamura, which, don't know why, Daniel Bryan, and Rey Mysterio, but used to be Jericho right there. Interesting. Either way, though, that is going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, do me a favor. Leave me a comment, like, and subscribe if you have not already. And don't forget to share this video with your friends, your Facebooks, your Twitters, your Instagrams. I don't give a dams. Help the channel out by sharing it to somebody. It greatly helps, and I greatly appreciate it. If you feel you know someone who would enjoy my content, recommend them. Give me a shout out. I greatly appreciate it. Help your boy out. Help this channel get up there, pretty much. I've got a Patreon page. You can always check it out if you'd like to support the channel and help me get to a desktop a lot quicker than the progress we're going right now. But as always, it's not required. It's always appreciated, though. And before I head off, check my description down below to check out some of my associates. Give them a look at, and maybe find something new that you like. My name's been OMG, WTF, LOL, FTW, BRB, and I will see you guys for 205 Live and SmackDown whenever we get to that, because I most likely will have that update video before I have those up.